guys, so welcome to the channel. I thought, yeah, it would just be cool to show you my whole process from the start to the finish. I also thought, since it's morel season right now, that it would be awesome to make a morel coaster or two. So I usually start with an acrylic base. I just get a pack of these on Amazon, so I build everything on here. Come on, I'll show you. So here's the acrylic base. Sorry for my super ratchet setup. I hope you can see everything okay. So I just take off the film from both sides. Excuse me, shrooms. So now we have our base. As you can see, I already made a couple of the morel caps. I'll show you how I did that. I usually take some grass, like this stuff. I just like tear off a piece. Then I just find a place I want it to go on here. And I just glue it down. And you can cut it, you know, any shape you want or rip it. I think it would be cool if we added a little river, so I'll show you how I do that too. Make it a little curvy like this. Yeah, that's cool. All right, then I just glue it on. Okay. Take it, just like slide it to where you want it to be. Press it down. And then we'll add some to the other side to make it look like a little river. Very reflective. Just press it on. And then we can cut off all the excess. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, it can be sticking off the edge a little bit. The molds that I use actually are 1/2 inch wider than the base. Yeah, so there's a little wiggle room in there. There we go. And I usually like to add a little stump. I have a bunch of these little like wood knot things that I actually got at my job. Because I worked in a warehouse for a while and these would always pop out of the pallets, but they're perfect for like little stumps, you know? So I either use one of those or I also got a little stump mold and it's a little more like, you know, whimsical looking. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Which one should I go with? I don't know. I'm really liking this one. I think I'm gonna go with that. All right, we'll glue him down. He will be sitting by the river there. Okay guys, so to make the actual morel mushrooms like I did here, I chose this color of clay. It was like the closest one I had. I have some like brown clays, but I didn't think it would look as accurate. So have a little piece here. Make it a little warm. Oh my gosh, my fingers look horrid. This is what I use Loctite super glue a lot for these projects, and yeah, it's just all over. Look at that, crusty. Anyways, make a little like maybe oval shape, and then I like to take this tool that I have. You've probably seen sets of these all over, but this is like the smallest. Like it's even smaller than like one of the smallest little ball tools that it comes with. So I really like this one because I can make little just like that, and then you just go next to it and make another one and continue. Kind of makes it look morelish. So yeah, sometimes the holes get like closed up. You can take an even smaller, like, you know, your little spike tool if you want. Open them back up a little bit. You can even use this one. Just anyways, yeah, this is just how I made the other ones. It seemed to work out pretty well. All right, one down. Okay, so once I baked all the little morels, I decided to glue on the bases separately. So I, instead of making a whole bunch of them individually, I just made like kind of like long straight snake piece of clay. Cut a little piece off. I really have to be careful when I do this because you can't get too tall, you know, otherwise it won't be a coaster anymore. Go, just use a little bit of super glue there and then, all right. Oh my gosh, you guys, these are so cute. Okay, it kind of looks like a drumstick. So I set the morels aside here so that we can add some extra foliage and terrain stuff around. So I have this grass, I might use some of that, and I really like this moss. My pieces are so small that, like, you know, part of this moss, like, it can break off and stuff, and I can even use those individual little pieces that broke off for certain things, like maybe seaweed and, like, you know, an ocean one or something like that, or even stand them up like vertical, like little pieces of, I don't know, plant or something growing out of the ground. It's useful. You can make this stuff last a long time. So I'm just gonna cut a piece off. Just try and figure out what I think would look good. Just, you can do anything, really. Losing daylight, guys. I had to turn on my lamp. I'm really not a morning person. Here's a better shot of that moss, guys. It was getting kind of dark in the last clip. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite one. Obviously not to scale, but that's okay. It's still super cute. Let's add some flowers next. I have my little teapot full of flowers. Probably some good old-fashioned daisies. I decided to go with some pinks and blues because spring! Maybe I should add a snail too, huh? Is that even a question? Of course we should add a snail. I decided to add a couple mushrooms to the side of the stump here. So I'll just stick those on. Can you not do that? Okay. Alright, I got it. Can never have too many mushrooms, right? So cute. Alright, let's get a snail in here. Repurposing! Get a shell, tiny shell. Alright, I got a little itty bitty shell that will work. I just gotta glue that on. Okay guys, I ended up gluing him down first to hold him a little more steady. Now I just gotta add his little antennae. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of super glue on his head and attach one. Okay. Yes! It's so cute! Okay, so for the water, in the past I have used blue alcohol ink mixed with Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, but I thought I might try using nail polish today. I haven't used this before, but I'm part of a few miniature groups on Facebook, and someone recommended that they used nail polish for something, and it just like opened my mind. I was like, oh duh, like why didn't I? It seems a lot easier and faster, so I'm gonna try it. I really hope it holds up. A lot of this I'm doing is trial and error because I use so much stuff, and I don't know half the time if it's gonna hold up in the resin. I don't know. But I do usually coat everything before I put it in the resin. So yeah, let's just try it and see. That looks really good. honestly, I think that looks pretty good. I'm just adding a few rocks in here. Let's add a little extra grass along the side of the river here. Sometimes I add sand, but I decided not to this time. The next step, things start getting trickier around this time. I'm still like trying to figure out the best way to do this. I try to seal the coaster in such a way that the resin won't affect it too much. Like, for example, the grass here, like obviously when like fabric type things get wet, they get darker. And so what I have been doing is putting like a coat of Mod Podge over the grass. I was doing it over the moss too. I just don't know the best way to prevent bubbling. The resin that I switched to is actually way better than the first one I was using, and it's pretty forgiving because it's really thin. There's plenty of time for the bubbles to come out, but I do have to keep a close eye on these and like watch them and check on them every few hours to make sure that the bubbles aren't coming back. You know, I just don't want them to get stuck in there. There's only so much you can do too at a certain point about bubbles. Like, there's probably going to be a couple tiny ones in there no matter what you do, at least in my experience so far. Like I said, I'm still a pretty big noob. So yeah, I just coat the base in Mod Podge. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did go ahead and add a little bit of detail to the flowers. I added little white dots in the middle there. So I do definitely want to coat those because anything with paint, I want to protect that too. I'm gonna go over the river also, just for some extra protection, just in case, because I haven't used nail polish and resin yet, so I don't know what's gonna happen. I try and go around the edges here too. I don't know if you guys can see that really well, but just to like seal off the edge so that the resin won't seep in and like destroy the, well, it's worse when I use paper on top of here because obviously like the resin will seep in and it will just, you know, make it all look translucent and horrible. So I really have to watch that, but I do it on all of them just in case because obviously like the bottom of this grass here it's like paper, so I just go around the edge to seal everything as best I can, fill in all the gaps. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now, and we just gotta let that dry because it will dry clear, and the sun is actually out right now, so I'm gonna go put it out in the sun, and that should help it dry a lot faster. It's been so windy, guys. It's really frustrating. Just please stay. Absolute madness. Anyways, so I came back to the river because I thought the blue that I used was a little intense or something. I don't know, it looked a little, I don't know, I just wanted to tone it down, so I used a lighter shade. And it has a little bit of glitter in it. I don't know, I think that looks a little nicer, a little less harsh, like a little more light, pastel, springy looking. And if you guys didn't notice, I spilled some on the grass, so let me see if I can try and cover that up with a little bit of moss. That's better. Okay, guys. Now, I know I already coated it with a coat of Mod Podge, and as you can see, it dried clear, so I like to take precautions and do one more coat with this stuff. So I have a handful of other pieces that are ready to be sprayed as well, so I'm just going to do them all together. Okay, so I'm ready to do some pouring. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is my least favorite part of the process because this is where everything starts getting really tricky, and if you mess up, there's like no going back, you know? So right now I'm just mixing part B with a little bit of this stuff. It's a UV inhibitor that super clear liquid glass has, and you have to mix it in part B before you add the A, so I'm doing it kind of backwards. That's the way that you're supposed to do it. They have the highest UV resistance, guys. Okay, so I mixed this for about 8 minutes because I'm really paranoid. Whatever. Okay, so things start getting a little tricky for me at this point in the process too. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do this, but I always start by just adding a little bit of resin at a time to the bottom. Get the whole thing covered there. Just need like a little bit. As long as the whole thing is covered. Sorry, I keep changing my mind about the lighting. So now we have a little bit of resin in the bottom. So we're gonna take our base and just drop it in and then center it. And just press it in so that. Okay, so at this point in the process, I've gone back and forth with how to proceed because in the past I've done like half full and then just let it set and then finish like the rest. But the last batch that I did, I just poured the whole thing. I can't decide what to do because in the past it was like really obvious that like it was probably user error, but like, you know, the bottom may have had bubbles and the top didn't, and it was just like really obvious. But the last time I did this, when I just poured the whole thing at once, some of them, you just gotta really like pay attention to what you're using and like use your best judgment, I guess, because one of the pieces I was using had like a big piece of wood on one side and it was too buoyant, so it just kept floating up and I kept pushing it back down, and like I just ended up having to take it out because it was not working. So like for stuff like that, you'll need to do, you know, maybe 2 pours. I think we're good on this one to just go ahead and fill it the rest of the way. This is so nerve-wracking, you guys. I get so nervous. Like I said, like this is my least favorite part of the whole process because so many things can go wrong. Okay, so now we wait. It will take a while for this to set, like a few days, because I'm using a deep pour. So I should be able to pop it out in, I would say about 3 or 4 days. So we'll check back in with you guys then. Just checking in on this thing. It looks like I did a pretty good job sealing it. I don't see too many bubbles in there. This one over here, you can see I have my little snake glow-in-the-dark mushroom coaster, and definitely some bubbles coming up, so I gotta address that. Okay guys, I'm here a few days later. It's still not completely cured, but I think it's safe. Let's do this. Can you guys see it okay? Oh man, bubbles. Okay. Well, there you go. That's what it looks like when it's done. Well, when it's done. Definitely some bubbles in there. I do have a vacuum chamber, but I can only put like 1 or 2 in at a time, so it's just, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Also, guys, I'm not sure what to do. Also, like, this could be considered finished and I could just put my little cork base on the bottom, but I don't know. Do you see? Okay, so you know how usually when you make coasters, you do it this way, right? Like you take whatever you're putting in the mold, right? And it goes this way, so that when you take it out, the top is flat and beautiful and perfect, right? Well, I can't do that with these because if I did, I would have way more bubbles on my hands. Like, you know, there's so much stuff in here that I can't see what's going on underneath if I did that. So I have to do them right side up, but that leaves me with another, I don't know if you want to call it a problem, but there's a lip when I'm finished. Kind of like, you know, up. There's like a sharp lip. So I've had some people tell me that they would prefer it like that, just maybe sand off a little bit around the edge and leave it, because then it would keep in the condensation, because these are coasters after all. But I don't know, like I kind of like the flat level look. Like this would normally be the top, right? But for me, the way I make these, I don't know, like I'm not really that savvy with like sanding. Don't really know what I'm doing. This could be considered finished, but I don't know, like I don't know. It might just depend. I don't know what people will like more. What do you guys think? Like, would you rather have like a smooth, flat top, or would you be happier with this, like with a little lip around the edge? Try to get some close-ups for you here, so there's a lot of reflections. The little morels in there, and there's the stump with the shrooms. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. I'm definitely a perfectionist. I want it to be absolutely perfectly, like crystal clear, no bubbles. See, the moss is really what was causing the problem, I think. Here's a little snail. What a cute little snail. I don't know, guys. I have mixed feelings about this. Here it is. It looks good from a distance. So I learned, I think the better way to do this, really, do it in 2 pours, because that way I can coat everything just maybe in like a thin layer of resin, and hopefully that will prevent all the bubbling, and just try and center it in the mold and just let it set, and then come back, and after that sets, just come back and fill up the rest of it, and hopefully that will prevent a lot of the bubbling that I'm having. The reason I skipped coating the moss in Mod Podge this time is because when I do, it usually just looks like there's a film of like white snot over it. Like it's really obvious and it looks pretty bad. Like you can see on this side, do you see that? Like you can seal the moss, but it'll probably look like there's snot on it. You see what I mean? It prevents the bubbles from coming up, but so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is my process, which is definitely going to be, it has a lot of work. I have a long way to go. I'm still learning. I know I've said that a million times already. It's really fun and it's cool, but I'm still ironing out the kinks. There's a lot of them. I will say there was a commission that I did recently and there weren't really that many bubbles in there, so I thought back to what I did, and I think I used this instead of Mod Podge. It's the Winsor & Newton Artist Gloss Varnish. So maybe if I go over the moss with this stuff, it will prevent the bubbling. I guess I'll try that with my next batch too. Wish me luck. And I take a cork base and I just cover up the bottom. There's a bit of a, like a 1/2 inch gap around, all the way around the edge. So yeah, I'll just stick that on and then there you go. It could have been better. Definitely could have been better, but it could have been worse too. So thank you everyone for being here. I decided that even though it didn't turn out perfect, I would share it with you anyway and just tell you. This is my process, which like I said, it's probably going to be changing. So yeah, thanks for coming along with me, and I'll see you next time.